I see the writings on the wall, I see no rising sun. Good and great, but it's not so bad. Good and great, but it's not so bad.
WTF. I think that pretty much sums up a lot of what's going on right now, and that's why it was a perfect opening. Welcome. So this is where you did not see the happening behind. I really want to just ask you one very loaded question, which I know you're the perfect person to unpack.
When you think that my unhappiness will be resolved by making this happen,
This is why I told you guys. I told you this conversation needs another 1 hour, I think, on its own.
what are the things that will give you those capabilities and change you as a person so that you can step up and win?
Zuckerberg doesn't care.
Let's not have that. That's a whole different show that we need to start on this.
2 minutes to report it to Meta, or even 1 minute. It takes the same amount of time to report it to the authorities, but the difference between
The outcome.
consequences,
Very interesting. Oh, you changed my mind.
even people that are in the scene that know what not to do and what they should be looking out for, even they can sometimes fall for it.
You do these 3 steps, and 7 out of 10 people will say, this sorted things out for me.
This is the kind
Exactly.
of conversation that is very important for people to realize.
I see the writings on the wall, I see no rising sun. For all of the victims, I see nuclear arms. I see the streets we grew upon. What the hell have they become? And I've been dreaming about someone, one who's not been around for so long. For so long. Let's go. 'Cause it's getting cold for me to come home, and I see you walking down my road. You're getting cold and losing control. I see a picture on the wall of a rising sun. In all of the system, I see no clear charm. I see the streets we grew upon. We were young and wanted out. 'Cause I've been dreaming about someone, one who's not been around for so long. So long. Cause it's getting old to have any hope. And I see you walking down my road. You're getting old and losing control. Come on! Writings on the wall, writings on the wall, writings on the wall, the writings on the wall, the writings on the wall, the writings on the wall, writings on the wall.
Wow, that was quite an opening song that we had from Zeruni Sound Society. WTF. I think that pretty much sums up a lot of what's going on right now, and that's why it was a perfect opening. Welcome. My name is Fari Zolf. I'm the host for the next 1 hour. Thank you for joining me on the FabDXB show. This is where we want to feature the fabulous people and the stories of the UAE and Dubai. Now, every week we're going to be going live with incredible stories and ways, techniques, and resources that you can tap into to actually be able to reach out within your community, to help other local businesses and brands, and ultimately to really just showcase incredible people behind the city. The main topic for today is really legal conversations by someone who I find not only is shining a spotlight on issues that are relevant for us, residents of the UAE, but also how we're able to navigate. So this incredible person is someone who I've come to follow online. He's really great with the kind of conversations that he has, the topics that he talks about, And in all fairness, he's a content creator. He's a legal mastermind. Yes, he is a mastermind. He has a background in debate when he was back in school. He's actually very familiar with being on radio and shows. He has a wealth of knowledge, and that's why I think he's perfect to have this conversation. I'm really proud to at least start the show with somebody who I find interesting, and I know he's not going to hold back to have a conversation about legal matters. Please welcome our first guest, Amin Rad.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you've said yes. I know it's a Sunday morning, and thank you guys all for tuning in as well. Sunday mornings, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, sit down and watch the conversation, because I want to start with a couple of really interesting things that I think are going to be relevant to people who are watching in terms of what is happening right now legally for residents of the UAE. What can you tell us that are the recent updates? We're now live today on the 12th of April. If we're going to look at something in terms of, I'm a business owner, there are people out there who are also looking to see how they can navigate the system, whether they own a business or they work in a business. What can we do right now to be able to stay ahead of the game when it comes to the changing parameters legally for businesses that might be struggling right now? Are there any grants that we can access? Are there any resources that we can reach out to where the government is so helpful? What can we do with that?
I mean, to answer your question directly regarding businesses specifically, businesses are now not being, we've seen the recent news that came out with like a 1 billion fund.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily money that's given. It's more like money that's been, or fees that are being deducted for businesses. So if you're a business owner, you probably have from your licensing authority, whether you're on mainland or free zone, for any kind of tourism taxes or fees that you should be paying to the government for your, you have a F&B business, for example, etc. In that sense, you are getting your funds deducted, but you're not being given money cash in your bank account upfront.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main mistakes that people have misunderstood in this regard. They think that they're going to ask for a grant and the government will just give them a check. It's not as, clear cut as that. I think it's more about supporting you once this situation has calmed down, and especially certain sectors like hospitality and F&B, they're the ones really struggling. So in terms of them asking people to support them, there is a huge growing trend where people are supporting local businesses.
Yes.
And how can we help other businesses that might possibly be struggling right now?
Okay, so specifically what I do personally, if you're going to buy anything, doesn't matter if it costs 1 dirham or 1,000 or 100, doesn't matter. Try to source it locally, try to buy it locally. That's the best way you can help businesses locally as well in this region.
And one more thing I wanted to ask, when we are at a restaurant, let's say, or we are actually at a shop and we want to shine the light on them and we want to sort of, let people know this is an amazing brand, we want to support them. Where does it stand in terms of sharing the content and collaborating with that brand?
Yeah.
Seeing that we have a new UAE advertiser permit, do we as a customer going into a restaurant and want to say this is an amazing food, do we need a UAE advertiser permit?
Not at all. And you know what's the best thing I can tell you from my personal experience? The best and biggest and the highest quality clients that I get are the ones that are referred to me by people that have no social media presence. They just tell their friend, who then maybe tells their friend, and these are people that are, they trust me immediately. They're very close with me. They can text me on a Sunday and I answer them and I go on their podcast, for example. So in that sense, you don't need to have an advertiser permit. And if you want to support, another way that you can support is share a story. If you have 300 followers on your Instagram and you don't have 300,000 and you only have 300 and you share a story, highlighting a business or a cafe that you like that's owned locally, obviously, then in that sense, you are pretty much, it's going to be so authentic that no one's even going to think you're collaborating with them or there's any money behind it.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And you are a content creator as well. So I think that's one of the drawbacks. A lot of people thought that we need to have certain permits or whatnot to be able to share and showcase other brands. And thankfully, you've cleared that up to say, no, you don't.
Unless you have a direct message between you and the brand saying, hey, if you post us, we'll give you X, Y, Z. Either it's money or it's goodies or whatever, or a barter deal. Then if that's not the case, you can post as much as you want and tag as many businesses as you want.
Amazing. So guys, go out there and support your local businesses. Right now, everyone needs to come together. We are a beautiful community, and I think this is the time where we can all show our support. So you heard it from Amin. You don't need to worry about that. If you don't even have a UAE advertiser permit, you don't need to worry about it. Just go out there and support your local businesses. I want to now lead into something else. At times when people are, trying to regroup and figure out what is right and wrong, what is correct and what is false information, this is a time when I've noticed there's a growing trend with scam artists. So I want to go on a little bit about the scams that are going out there. Help us, Amin, to showcase and shine the light on the scams that are happening right now so we can get ahead of the game and avoid any scam artists getting better of us.
Okay, so the best thing you can do is to not click on any links unless you verified it by yourself, because these links, they can be, phishing for your information. They can say that they're giving out grants or aids or any kind of insurance that's for free or any kind of tickets that's for free. I know people around me, they're legal professionals, and once they even sent me bunch of links thinking that it's real. So even people that are in the scene that know what not to do and what they should be looking out for, even they can sometimes fall for it.
I know I've actually seen a lot of them, to be honest. There's SMSs that come, a lot of emails that keep coming.
Yeah.
So what can we do to protect ourselves from any of these phishing emails or calls that we might be getting from people who want to scam us? Is there actually a protocol that we can follow?
Yeah, just hang up. Hang up, call them back yourself with your own phone, search their number, find their official number on their website, call them, and then ask them, is this real? And then if they confirm it, then yeah, okay. But if they don't, most likely it's a scam.
So if we are actually on the phone with a scam artist, are we able to report it? And if we do report it, who do we report that to?
Yeah, you can report it. You can report it to the Dubai police, for example.
Dubai police.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we report it to Dubai police, that's one action we can take.
Yes.
The other one is to be more aware of checking the emails to make sure that they are verified. We have to get very, very smart because they're getting smarter by the day in terms of making even the email layout look so authentic.
Yeah.
So this is where we need to be on it. And I think one of the other things that I've noticed is when someone does see a scam happening, they start sharing it online and letting other people know as well. So again, you have social media at your fingertips. If you find something that's going around that is actually a scam, please do share it. That's legal, right? I mean, if we do find that. I'm checking, I don't know. These days we need to check everything.
If you're reporting, it's legal. You can even report it and it be real. That's fine. You didn't know. That's not an issue. That's not a legal problem for you.
Nice. Okay, I got that. So I want to know a little bit more about the scams that are happening right now. We can try to stay ahead of them. In terms of the sharing of information or misinformation, where do we need to be careful? Where does the line and the boundary sit when it comes to sharing too much information or sharing wrong information that's unverified? How can we protect ourselves from doing that?
Okay, the best advice I can give you is to only repost or share or even reformulate official news. As long as you're within the boundaries of official news, you're probably fine. Most likely you're going to be okay. But if you start developing your own personal story or your personal agenda or your own personal understanding and theories, that's where you completely drift off of official news. And you say, oh, they met or they did this meeting or they have this agreement for this reason, and it's not official whatsoever, then you're probably going to be, There were people that were sharing that, for example, they are traveling to Pakistan. Before they even confirmed that they're traveling to Pakistan, if you really want to poke those people that shared that news, you can legally. Like, you didn't share that when it was official.
And so we can report them on Meta. We can actually report. And this is another thing that
I'm
I've seen.
not talking about Meta, not social media. No one cares about social media.
Well, they do.
Yeah.
They do. So I'm going to come into that in a minute.
I'm talking about legally reporting them.
So if you want to legally report somebody, who do we go to? Who is the authority we report to?
You can report it to Dubai Police. You can report it to, there's one, it's like NCEMA, if I'm not, or NCEMA.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you can report. There's one, I believe it's called SSD or something like that.
What is SSD?
It's like specifically related to security, like society and security.
Oh, this one is something I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting. SSD.
If I'm not mistaken, that's actually the real official channel you can report it to. Yeah. You can just search it on Twitter. You'll probably find it.
Okay, SSD. Now, moving on to the social media side of things, right? I know that being in the UAE, there's a lot of very strong protocols that support us online, that we don't face any harassment or any harmful content being shared. Now, at times when people are very vocal, how can we protect ourselves by reporting certain harassment or abusive language, or just defaming or degrading conversations that are being shared online? Can we report this? And if we can, who do we report it to?
Okay, so if you want to not care about the emirate that you're in, you can report it directly to Minister of Interior.
Minister of Interior,
Yeah,
okay.
MOI. If you're, for example, in Dubai, you can go through the Dubai Police app and report the cybercrime. That's one way.
So cybercrime or Dubai Police app,
Yeah,
okay.
these are the two ways. Or if you're in Abu Dhabi, you can report it on Abu Dhabi Police app. Or in your own emirate, you can report to the police. Or the easier one is just to report it to the MOI, because even the police deals with MOI as well.
Okay, so let's say, for example, somebody who's based in the UAE, we can report them. What if they're not based in the UAE? Do we have any leverage on that?
Yeah, you do. You can report them, and when they come into the UAE, eventually they transit through here for a flight even. It's a problem for them.
So really, and how long does that stay on somebody's file?
Forever.
Forever?
Until cleared, yeah.
And how do you clear it? Like they have to, can you lift
By
it?
explaining, by coming in and, being investigated and either paying the fine or dealing with the consequences or whatever the penalty is. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so there are very clear formulations of processes that we can follow.
For everyone, yeah.
For everyone, and this is why I think it's very important for people to know that if you are sharing certain comments online, be careful.
Yeah.
Because people can report, they can address this to the authorities. And like you said, it doesn't have to be just Meta. They're not the authority, they're a platform.
Yeah.
But here in the UAE, we do have authorities that actually can take action.
Actually reported to reported to the authorities, not Meta. Meta doesn't do anything.
Well, it does. I mean,
They care about community guidelines.
Yes, and a lot of the times, unless it's blatantly, classified as harassment or violent or anything of that nature, they will probably not do much.
They won't do much, and even if they do much, you can just create a new account for free.
Yes, which is very
right?
true. Let's not give people hints and tips on how to do this.
But then, if you do report it to the authorities, they can't create another new identity and come to Dubai with it, right?
I mean, that's putting a lot of effort in just to be able to do that. But at least I think you feel like you've done your part to be able to report it, and that can at least somehow protect you and other people from getting hurt.
It takes 2 minutes to report it to Meta, or even 1 minute. It takes the same amount of time to report it to the authorities, but the difference between the
outcome.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Oh, you changed my mindset on that one. That's very nice.
Meta's
okay.
useless. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't care.
Let's not have that. That's a whole different show that we need to start on this. But I do think that there is an importance on knowing what your rights are, knowing what you're able to do. And a lot of people just think, well, what's going to happen if I do report it? You just explain to us what can happen. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to ask you one more question before we wrap up this segment. I wanted to ask you one more question in terms of right now. For people who are looking at a situation that they don't know what's going to happen in 1 month's time, let alone 6 months' time, and they're an employee, what rights do they have if they are facing redundancy or pay cuts on that level? What can they do right now?
Well, honestly, okay, so these are two different answers. First part, what rights do they have? The same rights they always had. They're still an employee, as long as obviously they haven't been told that they should serve their notice and be, leave. They still have their own rights as per the law, whatever the law was. If they haven't signed any contracts, but even then that contract could potentially be reported to labor and also be dealt with. Like they will basically see whether you've actually been, for example, the company makes you sign a contract that says, oh, you don't show up to work, but you sign a contract saying I'm going on leave and I need half of my pay only, or whatever it is. And we already discussed this. If you have 100 employees doing the same thing, kind of seems fishy. It kind of seems like there's some influence behind the scenes to make 100 employees go on leave and only receive half of their pay. But then again, whether that's legal or not, that's for the authorities to decide. As you know, this is not something we're dealing with every day. It's a new event. Yeah. So it's kind of in the gray zone of the law, and it comes down to the decisions of the authorities. However, if you have already, your second part of the second part was that you've been made redundant already.
Yeah, if they have to, deal with, because a lot of the times when businesses are going through these kind of situations, we want to make sure that our teams and our employees and they're taken care of. But at the end of the day, we have to also make sure that we have enough cash flow
The
to be able
business
to
should
pay their,
survive,
you know, their salaries and pay whatever overheads we have. So I think it's a teamwork level. Like if as a business owner, I would then reach out to my employees and my team. I thankfully work with freelancers, so I don't have that issue. But I know a lot of people do. If you have that conversation to say, guys, can we at least come to an agreement? Like, are we able to do some time sharing? Are we able to do a certain reduction? Can we do that as a business owner to reach out to the team, our employees? And does the employee have a right to say, no, I don't want to? Or do they have to go along with it? I mean, where does the framework in that lie?
It's actually completely left to the employees and the employers. So if you come to an agreement between both of you that you're going to be reducing the hours for whatever the reason is behind the scenes, but on paper the reasons are that you both agree to do that, then that's completely fine. There are employees that can, for whatever reason, not show up to work for a couple of weeks, for a couple of months, or work half-time because they have other responsibilities, and that's completely fine.
Okay.
So even the authorities can't interfere in that sense because the reason behind it can be whatever reason that the employee doesn't come to work or works half-time only. Also has the right to make these offers, but if the employee doesn't accept, then now you're completely left again in the freedom of deciding whether you work together, whether you don't work together. Like, the only thing you should take away from this is that no one can force you to work or force you to not work. So that negotiation or that discussion is left completely between the employee and the employer. So whatever conclusion you can come to, it's very important that you know your rights before you go into the door or before you walk into the room to, you know, have that discussion. So if you know you have that, then you know where your leverage is. You can use that to your benefit or come to a, fair agreements between both of you.
I love that. Okay, thank you, Amin, for at least opening the topic. We just were able to open a tiny little door to this whole entire conversation, but I'm so happy that you're able to come along here, and I'm even happier to say that you're extending your advisory services for people who want to just reach out and say, I mean, what do I do in this situation?
Always.
And I love that. You are such a 24/7 kind of guy. And I can vouch for that I did message him originally. I think it was around midnight or something. And I was just like, what do you think about coming on the show? And he's like, sure. And I'm like, wait, you're awake? What are you doing? So he really is a 24-hour kind of guy, that he is available for advice. And he is, as you just known, he's so easy to talk to. And he will give you a very simple yes or no answer. Thank you for being on the show. And if there's one piece of advice that you would like to give to people out there right now who want to get a little bit more clarity on where they stand legally, what would your advice be to them?
Honestly, whatever industry you're in or whatever event you have coming up, you should always do your research beforehand. Most of my clients or people just in general come to me after they've already faced the trouble or they faced the problem. I understand a lot of problems cannot be foreseen or projected, but at least being an employee, you already know your situation, you should know your rights. Being a mother or married in the UAE, you should know your rights. Whatever it is, just research, at least know the structure of your life legally so that you know where your safety nets are, so you know how you can ride that wave without getting hurt yourself.
I love that. And if you don't know your rights, now you know somebody who you can go to who will give you the information you need.
Always.
Thank you again, Amin. And now we're going to hand over to Zuruni Sound Society for another track. So, welcome back. So, now moving on to our second guest. Now, he's someone who I wanted to feature on a podcast for quite some time, not only because he's actually a genuine and grounded human, but also because he's a co-creator in conversations that we have together offline. So, I knew I had to get him online. By day, he is the head organization, design, and strategy at Tamimi and Company. But I know him in so much of a different context as a mindset coach. And that's what I want to talk to him about today, how we can get into the psychological elements of being better every day, how we show up and in our performance. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome the amazing Talal Alabboudi. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastically well. I'm so happy that we're actually finally doing a conversation that every time we end up having a conversation, we're like, we should have recorded this.
Yep.
And ta-da, we're now finally doing it.
Yep.
So Talal, thank you for coming to the show today.
Sure.
I really want to just ask you one very loaded question, which I know you're the perfect person to unpack. And right now, I think a lot of people are experiencing something they've never gone through before. And for other people such as myself, it's kind of reliving past traumas and situations where we're feeling a little bit uncertain. Although we live in a country where we feel so safe, the mind plays tricks on you. And I know that the question that I want to bring to you is something that you're going to put a lot of wisdom into. So I'm going to say it and over to you to unpack it. How do we control and manage our emotions, our thoughts, and our behaviors when everything around us is out of our control?
Okay. That's a very good question. And I want to debunk a lot of myths and wrong information that a lot of people carry, hence why they struggle with their minds and their emotions, and then they fail to change them. And unfortunately, the advice you get out there today is something we call simple or pop psychology, things that are easy to sell. They might give you a quick fix, but they don't last, okay? So they're good if you are, let's say it's an urgent thing, you need to do something. What do? You slow down your breathing.
Right.
That's what you get today, a lot of it. Wherever you go, wellness programs, online, they will tell you, breathe, breathe, breathe. But that's a very temporary thing. But what I want to show you is how to change yourself, okay? On such a level that your resilience is high. If God forbid something happens or you have an intense situation in business or whatever, how do you show up? And the thing is, you become that person before the situation shows up, okay? So there are components that we need to look into to understand. Now, the first thing is one of the things I want to fix, at least an understanding, the mind doesn't always play tricks on you. The mind is scared because you may not be resourceful or strong enough. So it's telling you, you cannot go fight this thing, step back. But a lot of times when you're ready and capable, you're excited to a challenge. So the mind is actually reacting to your existing capability, okay? So what are the things that will give you those capabilities and change you as a person so that you can step up and win the challenge, the uncertainty, or whatever? So the first thing we need to look into is skill and capability. Do you have the skill? Do you have the capability? Now, this may not apply in all situations if it's out of your control. But a lot of things, if you're performing, if you're in business, skill and capability is massive. And I'm giving you actually the real stuff, the deep stuff. And people constantly build them, yeah? Now, the second thing, which is really, really important, and this is where probably a lot of the conversation should go to, what do you believe about life?
Here we go. The belief systems. I love this conversation. Yes.
And I want to pick something here. I want to unpack something very important. There are a lot of unquestioned belief systems that people think are good, but they're not really good. Even modern ones. I'll give you an example. So let's say someone says, yeah, I believe, some people might believe in a universe or a God, right? Different ideas, but they're very different in your nervous system. The idea of a God for many, caring, considerate, protective, all that stuff. But universe does not have that built into it. So what happens? A lot of people will say, yeah, we're spiritual, believe in the universe, but does the universe care? And in fact, a lot of times they say the universe doesn't care. That's such a subtle thing, but makes you feel alone.
So I think each one has its own separate charge, like how you
Yes.
feel internally
Yeah.
when you think about it,
Yeah.
or how you sense
Every
it.
paradigm has built into it hidden beliefs.
Right.
So we're talking advanced here. So a lot of the coaches now who understand belief systems and values, they're going to relate to this. So what is the overall belief system that will be supportive to you?
So what belief system is actually serving you?
Yes.
Some of the ones that we might have grown up
Yes.
with,
Yes.
we thought they would be serving us, but right now they're not, because they're keeping us a little bit more in fear mode rather than going into believing and understanding that everything is okay and we're safe.
The funny thing is, it's the other way around these days.
Okay.
The older belief systems were actually more serving. Because they're like, oh no, we're protected and all that stuff and God and all that stuff. Now, people have stepped into other belief systems that do not have that much bonding in it, or a sense of belonging, or a sense of like someone's looking after me and all that stuff. And you want to be selective in your belief systems. You want to be very mindful in your belief systems. And some belief systems will activate differently at different times. At work, you might have a different belief system than at home, than in other stuff as well.
Right.
Yeah, and the thing is with belief systems build on your emotions. So if you do not have the emotion of I matter, I'm loved, I'm cared for, then you cannot have a belief system that will support that.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is one of the things a lot of times people do. They have the words and the statements, but the emotion is not there. If the emotion is not there, it's not real.
Yes.
It's just an idea. Yeah?
So how do we link, or explain to someone who's watching who wants to know how they can identify an emotion that they're feeling right now, right? And then how does that play into what thoughts start coming up? Because some people say, look, I'm not in charge of, I cannot understand where my thoughts are coming from. The process of emotion, thought, and behavior, seeing as, I mean, in your day job, you deal with people, you deal with how organizations can use psychological techniques to increase and improve performance.
Yeah.
So what I want to take a little bit from what you know is showcase that for people who are living their everyday lives. How can we be more in touch with our emotions, our thoughts, and our behaviors so we have a high performance even in the state of let's say uncertainty, or a state where we're just not clear of what's going to happen in the future, and anxiety because it's future related, we want to kind of be more present. How can we be more present with all of that going on?
Okay. I will give you a full process that has the highest probability of you experiencing change in your body and nervous system.
Let's go. I want to hear
Full
this.
process.
Okay.
Number one, get a pen and a paper and write down how you feel. Just write it down. Don't think about it.
So you mean all the emotions that you're feeling, write it down?
Thoughts, feelings, what's happening, I feel this, I worry, whatever. Yeah? Finish it, take a step back, give yourself a break, look into it. You will find something that keeps coming up. I worry about this, I worry about this. There are people, say, in the work environment who tend to see this repeated. I worry about what he, she, my boss thinks. Okay? You will see a pattern that keeps re-emerging. And you can leave it even for a few days and look into it again. Yeah? And you don't just do this once. Every time this happens, you're right. You will acknowledge the pattern coming up again and again and again. Okay? You see it. But we're not done yet. Okay? Now, the second step, which is a very important step, let's say you acknowledge that it's something about fear or insecurity or whatever. Here's what you do. Very important step. You prepare your money to pay for it. People don't get better if they don't pay. Okay? I've done this for more than 15 years. I have trialed and tested this with myself, with others. If people don't pay, they don't get better. Okay?
Because you mean that they don't value the...
I would say there's something, call it energetic, unconscious, something like that, even if they get the best advice and even if they're in a lot of pain. Only in extreme pain do people actually get the change and the benefit. But why do we need to go to extreme pain? Something about giving money or paying for it makes a difference. Now, where do you put the money? Where you can. If you can get a book, go and get a book about that specific thing.
Yeah.
If you want to get an audiobook, which I use a lot, it's quick, it's online, you do that. If you can go for a session, you do. But you want to know exactly what you need. I like to start with books. Why? Because should you want to go to a session, you know what you need, you have deep thorough
Right,
information,
right.
you will really benefit from a session. But a lot of times, the books actually do something. Now, you wrote it down, you paid for it, you listened to the book, audiobook, let's say. 8 out of 10 times you're okay, you don't need to do anything else. You're good to go. You'll see a difference, okay? The rest 2 out of 10 times is where you need to do something. And what I would advise is, if this is something that you really care about and say it's anxiety, go for A Liberated Mind by Stephen Hayes, PhD, the founder or co-founder of ACT, Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, one of the most impactful therapies today, according to research, in dealing with anxiety.
Okay.
And panic attacks and all these things. Yeah? You do these 3 steps, and 7 out of 10 people will say, this sorted things out for me.
So where do we sit in terms of like self-analysis? You know, like there is that concept of analysis paralysis. When you
Yeah.
get so involved in I'm going to try and fix this issue within myself,
Yeah.
you then think you know what the solution is, but a lot of the times you're kind of skirting around the
Yeah.
element, and then you don't even realize you actually need to reach out to somebody who is trained to be able to help you. How do you know that, you know, when to hand over to somebody who's a professional?
Well, definitely when you don't see results, but there's something else I want to share that we see quite often today. There are 2 types of people today. There is a fixer who fix only themselves and everyone else, but don't let anyone fix them. Okay?
Yep,
I know a lot of people like that. There are a lot of people like that. And then there are those who can't fix themselves and always need to find someone to fix them.
Yeah.
In fact, I created a video on this, and a lot of people vibed with it. And they were sending it to those who were not doing anything.
I wonder
for
how they
themselves.
received it, yeah.
So if you're a fixer, you fix a lot and you do a lot of analysis. Analysis does not create change. Analysis is good for conversation, is good for a coach / therapist to get you excited to do the change.
And gives you the awareness of you
Yeah.
actually recognize there is something to change.
Yeah. But analysis does not change. What changes is relationship to the thought and to the self. So knowing it, thinking about it will not change it, but what do you mean by relationship? Again, if someone is interested, go to the internal family systems therapy model, beautiful model, where you actually sit with that part that is fearful and you have a relationship with an unconscious part. And the author actually says, we don't know if it's a mental part, but what we do know, it's a representation of your soul of some sort. Yeah? And very successful.
Okay.
Very, very successful model. And the way you relate to yourself, the thought, is the same way the relationship that one did not get growing up. Can you accept that part of you? Can you appreciate that part? Can you validate that part? One of the mistakes people make today is they invalidate. Oh, my mind is doing this. My mind is trying to do this to me. It's like they're talking as if their mind is an enemy, is ignorant or
But
whatever.
it's separate to them. They're not embracing it as it's part of you.
Yes.
But you can have that conversation. Yeah.
So that actually an internal conflict that they're having
Yeah.
by invalidating themselves. But they want to say, oh, it's my mind and my mind is playing trick. That language tells me you are disconnected from your emotions.
Correct.
But it sounds like they're tough or they're gonna, yeah.
I think that's one of the most crucial parts of knowing yourself is to
yes.
understand, first of all, how to name the emotion.
Can I
But-
rephrase that?
Yeah, of course.
Is not to be afraid of yourself.
This is, I think, one of those elements. Fear will come because you don't know it, you don't recognize it, you don't know, like you said, you might have thought that it's not part of you or it's something you can't control. So that fear element comes in so many different ways that I sometimes feel like I have a conversation with that fear,
Yeah.
so that it gets a little bit of the light rather
Yes.
than more power of I'm afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you, I'm accepting you.
I'm
What are you
listening
here to
to you.
teach me? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something why people keep that fear. They're so worried about the outcome. So let's say someone is afraid of starting the business, but they fight the fear and they fight. My mind is playing tricks on. Why? They want the outcome, they want the money. When you're more focused on outside, you deny your truth. You devalue and dismiss who you are. When you're willing to let go of the outside, to acknowledge who you are, to listen to yourself, to be at peace, and the outside is not as important, your self honors you back. And watch what it will give you. It will
Beautiful.
give you gold beyond your dreams. And you'll experience detachment from an outcome. You'll experience connection with self. And it's a form of, the true form of self-love, not the stuff you hear a lot these days. And you will be at peace and happy with yourself regardless. And this is where your true power is when you go back, not when you go outside.
See, when you go inward rather than focusing on the outward, this is where the magic happens.
Yes.
And this is why I told you guys, I told you this conversation needs another 1 hour, I think, on its own.
Can I
go
just
ahead.
add something here? When you think the gold is outside, not inside, when you think that my unhappiness will be resolved by making this happen, this is the biggest illusion. Your unhappiness is the reason, is because you are already disconnected. Disintegrated, as they say in psychology, with yourself. And this is what a lot of traumas do. Traumas disintegrate people. So then there's a sense of emptiness. But the emptiness is because you're not reconnecting to who you are. So what happens, people try to fill it from the outside.
This is it. I think this is where our focus is on the wrong aspect.
Yes.
And I think this is the kind of conversation that is very important for people to realize. We do need to go inward. And by doing so, we'll really get to know not only ourselves, but how we can process
life
what's going on.
Life will come to you. You don't need to chase life. It will come to you.
I love that. I love that. I think that's a beautiful way to end our segment. Thank you, Talal, again, for just having this level of conversation with you on a Sunday morning. This is how I love to spend my Sundays, and to really have a beautiful way to wrap the week.
Yeah.
I know that for a lot of people, you've given interesting conversational, tips of the iceberg, let's say, and you've given really informative resources that they can reach out to. So I appreciate you for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom, and I look forward to having more conversations with you offline and online.
Sure.
So thank you again, Talal, for joining us.
Welcome.
And I want you to just leave with one piece of advice for anyone who's watching and just wants to know how they can go inward rather than being focused on the outward. What would be the advice you give them?
Be gentle with yourself. Don't push it. Just because sometimes people say here, stay with your feelings. Sometimes it's too much, and that's okay. And nothing is wrong with how you operate. When stress happens, especially recently, a lot of people went into distractions. Nothing is wrong with that. Some things are too hard for you to handle today, but it's like a muscle. It's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. Just do a little bit every day, and that muscle will grow. And before you know it, you'll be the one standing strong for other people.
Talal, you're giving me goosebumps because you literally are speaking to my heart. I literally was very engrossed in so many things that are happening in the world for the last few months. And the reason why I had to tap back into myself and have those internal check-ins was because I realized I was letting the distractions win, and the fear was winning. So thank you for those beautiful words. I really appreciate it. We're going to wrap this segment up. We're going to hand over to Zaruni to play another track. And guys, if you want to know more about Talal, he will be featured with his tags so that you can actually connect with him. He is really a wealth of information. Make sure that you do catch his content as well. He's always sharing really different points of view and great resources. So again, thank you, Talal.
Thank you.
We're going to now hand over for another original track by Zaruni, Sound Society.
It's the first time that I feel this way as I met you. First time that I'm brave since you said you were all in my mind, not someone you wanted, part of your life. I was beautiful once upon a time. I was beautiful, beautiful, once upon a time. I was beautiful, beautiful, once upon a time. I was beautiful, beautiful, once upon a time. I was beautiful, beautiful. It's the first time that I see your place since I met you. It's the first time I made a move from you. You were all in my mind. You're not someone I want. In my life you were beautiful. Once upon a time, you were beautiful, beautiful. Once upon a time, you were beautiful, beautiful. Once upon a time, you were beautiful, beautiful. Once upon a time, you were beautiful.
Welcome back. So, you might have remembered Amin from earlier on this morning. So guys, I want to reach into one main topic, which is, I know we talked about a little bit, which was social media, but I believe that there is some level of a danger zone these days when it comes to social media. And I wanted to bring this question to both of you and slightly tweak the topic for each one. But are there any sources that we can reach out to make sure that we stay out of the danger zone of creators?
Yes, of course. So one of the best sources that I can give you is WAM, web. I can't remember the full form, but WAM. Just look it up. You'll find it on Google. It's the first link. It's a government agency, news agency. So that's one. Then again, you have all of the official departments and authorities that share their news. So those are the better ones as well. And then also now you have, for example, you have the local news agencies that share news, and those guys obviously, for risk of not posting unofficial news, they do their own research, they have their own departments. So in that sense, if you're sharing these kind of posts, you're kind of more or less staying in the safe zone. If you find news online that you can't verify, if you're on Twitter, they have their own AI, obviously Grok, you have ChatGPT, you have all of these other AIs. You can ask them before you share anything, can you verify whether this news is official or not? Click on the official sources, verify by yourself, and then you can share it if it's official news.
Okay, thank you for that tip. Over to you, Talal, in terms of how we can balance mental and emotional overconsumption. So emotionally, we might get a little bit too engrossed and get lost in doom scrolling. It might have a negative impact on our emotional well-being. And of course, in terms of how we can ration ourselves on social media or something, what would be your tips for people to be able to stay balanced in terms of consuming content on social media?
Okay, so I like to keep things very easy. Okay, I don't believe everything is something you need to discipline yourself into all the time. But if we look at the source of why people do a lot of things that are doom scrolling and all that stuff, they need to be distracted. Now, what are people being distracted from? For a lot of people, they may be conscious or unconscious of it, but it's emptiness and unhappiness. And you don't need to force yourself to stop and go back into your life. You need to just start with your life, focus on your life. And one of the best things that seem to fix pretty much a lot of problems in one go is walking in nature, and more specifically, walking barefoot.
Oh, I love doing that. I love walking in grass, yeah.
If that becomes, and this is the important piece, habitual, meaning your nervous system begins to recreate it by itself. So if you do it for 1 week, then it becomes in the background. So if you stop, you still have something in the background. You will automatically reduce it. You don't need to bother or try too hard.
Love that. Okay, great tips from both of you. My next question is more about managing or handling our decision-making process through stress. Okay, so how am I going to relate it to both of you? First of all, Talal, I would say in terms of making decisions when we're feeling stressed or out of fear, what is the best tip you can give to somebody that they should do or bear in mind when they are in fear mode and they start making decisions? What should they avoid so they don't make bad or harsh decisions?
Okay, the guideline here is to say don't make a decision when you're stressed. However,
Sometimes not as easy to do, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
my point. It's a very important skill to have, and a lot of senior, say CEOs or high-ranking, let's say, employees or senior people do is understand the difference between anxiety that will go by itself because you will feel it, and anxiety that's a gut feel. Sometimes it's okay to make a decision if it's not the best decision to feel better. Okay, so you need to know yourself, and it's not healthy or beneficial to stay in anxiety for a long time, because then you create a form of anxiety that is chronic. Then you will find something to be anxious about, which you don't want. So the first question is, again, it's a time sensitive, it's case by case. Sometimes you cannot take all of your time. So what would be the decision that is something you can live with? Now, to keep something else in mind, you need to also know yourself. Again, it's not a one thing that fits all the time. Do you need to build some resilience? Which means, do you need to get a taste of some uncertainty in your life? Maybe, in fact, sometimes we tell people, tell me the next decision that will give you a little bit of anxiety and let's do it.
Right.
Okay?
So get in your uncomfortable zone or discomfort.
Yeah. So it's not always a bad thing. It sometimes is what builds strong character. Oh yeah? So you want to understand, sit back and ask yourself, do I really need this? Is this going to help me get closer to what I want? Do I have to do it now? If I have to do it now, what can I do? So, I mean, there are so many answers that you can look into, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I would say a lot of times these experiences show up to either teach you something about yourself or to crack something out of you. So
I like that. Okay. So that's an interesting way of looking at it in terms of decision making when you're feeling in stressful situations. I mean, when it comes to the legal parameters, sometimes when you're feeling anxious or nervous or cautious and you don't know what is the best decision to make for your business, for your life, what would you say legally you can do to protect yourself in terms of you make a decision to stop a project because you can't fulfill it? Or let's say, for example, you want to start something and you make a quick decision, okay, I'm going to start a new business, and you haven't really thought it through. What parameters can you put in place to protect yourself legally from making quick decisions, bad decisions, or fearful decisions?
I mean, the advice I would give is to speak to a legal professional for the same reason that a doctor, for example, would say if you're feeling sick and you're uncertain, I couldn't give you a home remedy that one size fits all, because if I were to give that advice, that would be bad advice.
Right.
Your doctor would take responsibility for telling you to not go to the doctor and just to stay at home and try to research yourself and figure out what's the problem. Sometimes a professional with experience or with with the right tools find out what the actual issue is. So in that sense, if you're trying to stop a project or start a business or take on some possible legal load, then I would advise to take the advice of a legal professional. However, if you are in a scenario where you have anxiety or you feel like you're going to be doing something that may have a legal consequence, so for example, you're angry and you're going to post something or you're going to say something to someone, in that sense, I would go back to Talal's advice is to not do anything, don't take a decision, and just wait till you cool off. You can always write that comment later or make that post later, but you can take it back.
Yeah, I think good piece of advice is potentially like write it, don't send it until you have that cool down period, and then if you still feel like you need to do that, then go ahead. But otherwise, I think a lot of the times you have that gap where your emotions kind of like calm down.
It depends. I understand you have a good intentions by saying that, but like it depends on the things you're writing, because sometimes if you're writing something that's not good and you post it, it's a matter of a screenshot and now you have an active case, right? It's not worth it.
Yikes, yes.
Yeah.
That's what we need. I mean,
That's why I was like, I know the intention. Yeah, again, don't do it. Don't do it and wait until the anxiety or the feeling that you have blows
subsides,
over. Subsides.
Kind of like dissipates a little bit.
Dissipates,
okay.
yeah.
Again, I can sit with you guys and go through a whole bunch of questions, and this can go on for a whole another couple of hours. To do that in a way that I'm not only thankful to these two gentlemen for coming along on their Sunday morning, and I think it's raining because I can hear rain outside, but it's raining outside there, but we're shining bright inside here. And I wanted to just shout out and give a special thanks to the people who are behind the screen that you can't see them. And I'm going to call these guys out. I want Aldrin, Love, and Kritika to come join me, because these guys were my co-creators in this idea. I've had this idea for the show to blend conversations. Come on in. You're part of the family, guys. Kritika, come on in. So I know that an idea that has been within me for creating conversations and musical blend all together, it couldn't have been birthed without beautiful minds coming together. And organic, come, we're part of the family. So this is where you did not see the happening behind. It's because of everyone coming together. I want to bring in Z and the Sound Society, but then it's just like a whole bunch. We need a bigger set. But we are going to go out to them because they're going to close the show for us. But I wanted to thank each and every one of you guys. Love, Kritika. So Kritika, we have our two co-founders of this beautiful place, which you will see some more content being covered in terms of Casa Collective is our beautiful set for today's show. It's such a beautiful gallery, and the set you have here, everything you're going to be seeing around us is down to these beautiful women who have created such a lovely space for people to come, not only be surrounded by art, but also be inspired. So please, if you're around in Alcoves and you do want to come and say hi to the ladies, there's a beautiful cafe open up as well over there. That's Aldrin making himself feel at home. So thank you to the wonderful ladies of Casa Collective. I also want to do a shout out to Aldrin. You got to come in the shop. You got to come in the shop. Aldrin. So Aldrin, he's quite a tall one, but yeah, we've managed to bring him in. He is founder of Placeholder Dubai, and Placeholder Dubai is this beautiful platform that is bringing artists together. Zaruni Sound Society and so many other amazing people who are going to be featured in the show. It's thanks to this guy who's able to actually pull everyone together, and he hosts his own events, so please do follow him on Placeholder Dubai. And then, of course, this couldn't have been done without this gentleman right here, Love. And I think he's the only one who I could trust fully to produce something behind the scenes that is not me. I can't do here and there simultaneously, and I think without you, I wouldn't have been able to focus being here and knowing everything else is going to be taken care of. So again, thank you so much, Love. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to hand over to wrap up the show for another set with the incredible Zaruni Sound Society. And before I do that, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. If you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It's a little thing that says subscribe. You just click it. And if you see a bell, click the bell, because the next time that we're going to go live, and this is going to be happening every week, every Sunday, we're going to be going live, whether it's in the morning or the afternoon. We are going to have a live show. And I want to welcome you, because this is celebrating the fabulous people of the UAE, shining the light on the stories and the people behind those stories. So can you do one thing for me? Today, before you go to sleep, message somebody who is fabulous in your life. I'm going to try not to get emotional. Why am I getting emotional? But the fabulous people of Dubai, of the UAE, who make this city and this country amazing as it is, reach out to someone who's fabulous in your life, who brings a ray of sunshine, and just send them a message to say thank you, because everyone needs to know that there is someone out there who appreciates them. And if you do know that somebody fabulous, I've got 2 right here, I've got like 8 who are out over there, so reach out to somebody. And until next week, stay connected, stay safe, and I'm going to hand over to the amazing Zaruni Sound Society to play us out for the show. It's over to you guys.
There's one-way traffic, I don't know where you are, can't seem to find a way into yours. One way to damage a world in a moment. You don't seem to mind if I'm away for years. One last time I go. There's one last salvage the world in a moment. You don't wanna wait for your feelings to change. One last time I go. One last try to yours. There's one last try to wait a minute, it's not working out. Gotta meet me somewhere. You're paranoid about my game. I'm messing about. Your friends complain. They're jealous of us. They're bored as. Gotta love me more from your not your way. It's gonna hurt otherwise. Love me more from your not your way. Gonna hurt otherwise, yeah. Got a minute to play your part. Give me your hand. Forget the pain you felt today. There's no return for your heart because it's mine. I'm always right. Come on, gotta love me more from your not your way. It's gonna hurt otherwise. Love me more from your not your way. It's gonna hurt otherwise. Love me more, love me more, love me more from your heart. No, it's gonna hurt otherwise. Good ain't great, but it's not so bad. Good ain't great, but it's not so bad. One thing I only came for, one thing I only came for, one thing I only came for, one thing I only came for. Let it go, baby, baby, let's go. 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 I'll save you from your tears. Not gonna cry, Not gonna cry, not gonna cry, not gonna. Good and great, but it's not so bad. Good and great, but it's not so bad. Let it go, baby, baby, let's go. Let it go, baby, baby, let's go. Let it go, baby, baby, let's go. Let it go, baby, baby, let's go.
Okay, I want to take just a minute. So
Thank
we're
you.
sitting over there. I wanted to bring all of these guys over there to say a big thank you, but I'm going to do the thank you right now. We're going to start seriously over there. KK, who always is so adorable in the back, just doing his thing, flute, guitar, and all the different accessories that you play with. Sana, who I've just like seriously with this harp. Oh my goodness, you're just a painting on your own. I love it. Of course, we have the amazing incredible drum. Honestly, always like drumming, John the drummer. And how can we end the show without saying a big thank you to Zaruni? Thank you guys, Zaruni and Sound Society. Thank you so much guys for making this a magical, magical morning. And just wanted to say big love to you. Big love to you guys. So that's officially we're out. See you till next week. Woo!